Hello from Halifax. This is Jo with Jo to the World Creations, and today we're going to be making my summer headband crochet pattern. I'm really excited to share this lightweight crochet headband pattern with you, which, by the way, fits both adults and kids. And we're going to be getting right to the video tutorial. All of the details such as the hook size, how much yarn is required, and all the step-by-step written instructions are available for free on my website, or you can purchase the ad-free print-ready PDF, and there are links to both below this video. I recommend using a yarn that's 100% cotton to make this headband. But for the purpose of this video tutorial, just so that it's easier to see, I'm going to be using an acrylic yarn, but I definitely recommend that you use a cotton yarn for this headband. We're going to start by making a slip knot, and we want to ensure that the tail from the slip knot is at least 12 inches long. So we're going to make a slip knot. I make a loop, pull the yarn through the loop, and put the loop securely on my hook. And this tail is what you want to measure to make sure that it's at least 12 inches long. Now we're going to chain 2. 1, 2. We're going to be working into the second chain from the hook. So this is the first chain that's attached to the loop that goes on your hook. And we're just going to be working into the top loop of the second chain from the hook. And into the second chain from the hook, we're going to single crochet. So at the end of round 1, you'll have this 1 stitch. In this pattern, chains don't count as stitches, so we have 1 stitch here. And to start row 2, we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and turn. In the 1 stitch that we made from the previous row, it's the first stitch, the stitch that's attached to the chain, and in this case it's the only stitch. We're going to make 3 double crochet stitches into this stitch. So just working normally into the stitch, we're going to make 3 double crochet stitches. That's 1, that's 2, and that's 3. So at the end of row 2, we have a total of 3 stitches. Now to start row 3, we're going to chain 1 and turn. We're going to be working into the first stitch, which is the stitch attached to the chain. And in this stitch, we're going to do a number of things, which starts with a single crochet stitch into that first stitch. So make a single crochet stitch. Now we're going to chain 2. 1, 2. Into the same stitch, we're now going to make 2 double crochet stitches into the same stitch. So that's my first double crochet stitch. Now I'm going to make another into the same stitch. And there's 2 double crochet stitches now completed. So I've completed a single crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochet stitches all in the same stitch. Now we're going to skip the next stitch and we're going to work into the last stitch. So working into this last stitch here, we are going to do the same thing that we just did. So first we're going to single crochet, chain 2, 1, 2, and working into the same stitch, make 2 double crochet stitches into the same stitch. As a reminder, in this pattern, chains don't count as stitches, so those chain 2s that we made don't count. So we're only going to count our single crochet stitches and our double crochet stitches, so we should have a total of 6 stitches at the end of this row. To start row 4, we're going to chain 1 and turn. And for this row, we are only going to be working into the chain 2 spaces. So normally what we've been doing is working into tops of stitches. Well, for this row, we are going to be working underneath the chain 2 that we completed in the previous row, and insert our hook right into the space under the chain 2 and make a stitch right in here. So not in the tops, we're going to work into the chain 2 spaces. So here's our chain 2, and there's a space we're going to work into on the next one. And feel free to pull your work apart. You'll be able to see it a lot better. And you can see we've made 2 chains there, and so we're going to work directly under that. So working into this first chain 2 space, we're going to single crochet, chain 2, 1, 2, and working into the same chain 2 space, we're going to make 2 double crochet stitches. 1 and then another one. Now we're going to work into the last chain 2 space. Into this last chain 2 space, we are going to single crochet, chain 2, 1, 2, and into the same last chain 2 space, make 2 double crochet stitches. At the end of the row, you should have a total of 6 stitches, only counting the double crochet and single crochet stitches. The rest of the pattern is repeating what we just did, repeating row 4. So let's repeat that one more time. We're going to chain 1. We're going to be working into the first chain 2 space, and just in case you're confused about where this space is, it's the space between the last double crochet stitch and the single crochet stitch. And then there should be a little gap here under the chain 2, and that's where you work into. So that's the first chain 2 space, and then the next chain 2 space, and again, feel free to pull your work apart, is in between the second double crochet stitch, underneath the chains, and beside the single crochet stitch. So this is where you'll always be working into as you repeat row 4. Working in the first chain 2 space, we're going to single crochet, chain 2, 1, 2, and in the same chain 2 space, double crochet, and then make another double crochet. And then working into the last chain 2 space, we're going to single crochet, chain 2, and make 2 double crochet stitches into the same space. 1 and 2. Continue repeating row 4 until your work measures 15 inches. This for me was approximately 22 rows, or you can keep repeating row 4 more or less time until you reach your desired height. You can end after any row, which means it doesn't matter which side is facing you. Just keep repeating row 4 until you reach your desired height, and then come back to the video and we will continue the pattern together. I've just finished repeating row 4 until my work measures 15 inches. And that's 15 inches from the very start. Now we're going to start row 5. To start row 5, we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and turn. Working into the first chain 2 space, so the same space that we've been working into this whole pattern, we are going to double crochet 2 together in the same space. How we do this is by yarning over, inserting a hook into the chain 2 space, bring up a loop, 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, and bring that yarn through just 2 loops. So we have 2 loops left on our hook. Now we're going to yarn over again and insert our hook into the same space. We're going to yarn over and bring up a loop. Right now we have 4 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and bring that yarn through just the first 2 loops. So we have 3 loops left on our hook. We're going to yarn over and bring the yarn through those last 3 loops. And now we've just double crocheted 2 together in the same space. Now we're going to do that again in the last chain 2 space. So yarn over, insert your hook into the last chain 2 space and bring up a loop. I'm going to go a little faster. Yarn over, bring that yarn through 2 loops. Yarn over, insert your hook into the same last chain 2 space, bring up a loop, yarn over, bring that yarn through just 2 loops, and then yarn over and bring that yarn through all 3 loops. And each double crochet 2 together only counts as 1 stitch, so you'll see there's only 2 stitches that we've made in this row. To start row 6, we are going to chain 1 and turn. We have 2 stitches that we're going to be working into, and we are going to single crochet 2 together, the first and the last stitch. How we do that is by inserting our hook into the first stitch, the stitch that's attached to the chain, yarning over and pulling up a loop. So we have 2 loops on our hook. Now we're going to insert our hook into the last stitch. So insert your hook into the last stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. So we have 3 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull that yarn through all 3 loops on our hook. And that makes 1 stitch. We've just single crocheted 2 together, the first and last stitch, and so we have 1 stitch made in row 6. Now we are going to fasten off, and we are going to cut our yarn, and we're going to leave a 12-inch tail. So quickly measure this and make sure your tail is at least 12 inches long, and then cut your yarn. And fasten off by bringing the end of that yarn you just cut through your loop and pulling tight to close it. Now I'm just going to put the headband aside for a second and get out my yarn and my measuring tape, and we're going to cut strands for the braids. We want to cut 6 strands that are all 24 inches long. So I know you can't see the beginning of this, but this strand, it's folded now, but it is 24 inches long, and we are going to cut 6 strands that are each 24 inches long. So we're going to take 3 of these strands. Again, this is folded, so just to make sure you can see, I'm taking 3 of these 24-inch long strands, and I'm finding the very start of the headband where we made the single crochet stitch at the very beginning, and we're going to pull these strands through that first single crochet stitch. So I'm going to insert my hook into the headband just to help me pull them through, and put the strands on my hook and just pull them through until, what I like to do is just try to get an end here, because we want them to be about halfway. So half on one side and half on the other. Then we're going to take our starting tail. This is the very first tail that we used when we made our slip knot, and we're going to pull it through this stitch as well so that we can incorporate it into the braid and not have to weave in an end. So I'm just going to use my hook here, place that starting tail onto my hook and pull it through, and I'm just going to incorporate this into the braids. Now you can even out your strands just to make sure that they are equal on either side. And now we're going to separate them so we can braid them. I've separated my strands into 3 groups. First has 2 strands, the middle one has 2 strands, and the last one has 3 strands. And now I'm simply going to braid them. And this is going to be hard to do in the video tutorial, just so I can get it all on camera, but I'll do this a little tighter in between takes here, but you'll just want to braid it tightly all the way down. And you want the braid, I'm going to do this much tighter, but I'm just trying to show you the motions of braiding. And you're going to make the braid a total of 5 inches long. Once your braid is 5 inches long, simply tie a knot, just a regular knot. I like to go slightly over the braid. And pull it nice and tight. And then cut the ends approximately 1/2 inch away from the knot. And now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. This time when we pull our strands through, we're going to be inserting our hook into the last stitch made. So the top of that single crochet, oh, it was actually single crochet 2 together, we'll insert our hook here, and this is where we'll put our strands on our hook and pull them through. And you do the exact same thing we did on the other side, where we also pull the ending tail through the same stitch. And then we'll incorporate that into the braids as well. So you do the same thing where you will separate these strands into 3 groups, have 2, 2, and 3, braid these until they're 5 inches long, tie a knot, cut the ends approximately 1/2 inch away from the knot, and you now have a brand new lightweight summer headband. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoy I hope you enjoy making this headband. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'd love to see your finished headbands. I'm here if you have any questions. Thank you again and have a wonderful day.